1 Corinthians chapter 13 is probably one of the most read scriptures about love. It's probably been read at every single wedding I've ever been to and probably every other celebration of love, but I think it bears reading and listening to again. Starting with verse 4, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Love never fails. I don't think it's any mistake that the word always is repeated. I don't know that we would get it if it was said once. I think we have to hear it over and over and over again because our humanity somehow will filter that out somewhere. So it does bear repeating. And so my heart had to shift with my mother. And I remember thinking, all right, if I lay the baggage down, then what do I have? If the baggage about mother and daughterhood is not there, then what do we have with each other? And my next thought was that she was just another beloved soul who needed care and protection, someone to advocate for her without any of the extraneous baggage, memories, whatever it was I was dragging with me through our relationship. And it changed everything. It changed everything for me. And we were able to be with each other in a way that we had not been in decades. The first couple of weeks after her first stroke, she was still able to communicate and she didn't have any paralysis in her arms or legs. And so we were able to talk and be with each other, and we had conversations we hadn't had in a long time. There was an ease between us that did not exist before because there was always this underlying attention. Because sometimes in relationships, and I felt like I had to do it in mine with my mother at the time, I had to set up some boundaries. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we need physical or emotional space between the people we love in order to protect and love ourselves. And somehow when I saw her as just a beloved soul, all those boundaries were allowed to crumble. And we laughed and joked with each other and we talked about life. And my niece her wedding was coming up in a few weeks, and probably in about a month now that I think about it, when she had her first stroke. And so we knew that she probably wasn't going to be able to go, but we planned some things. We planned making a video to send to her. And we would just spend time together. Sometimes we were reading, sometimes we watched movies. We talked about some of the things we would do together when she was out of rehab and she was back at home. And we just had fun. And it was just relaxed. And I thought, wow, I haven't felt this in a very, very long time. And then after her second stroke, which was catastrophic, and she wasn't able to communicate anymore, I was with her in different ways. And I've said before in my other talk when we talked about this, that I sang to her because that was the only thing that I knew to do. When I asked Spirit, How is it that I can be with my mother so that neither one of us is in distress? And the answer was sing. And I thought that was the oddest answer. Sing? And so I did. Sometimes for hours. And I did things like brush her hair and massage her arms or her legs. Or I would talk, or I would read. Or we would just sit and I would hold her hand. It changed my life. And I hope it changed hers too. And I don't know what happens when someone has had a stroke and their brain is not functioning anymore. I don't know what they're aware of. But somewhere in my heart of hearts, I believe that she was able to be with me in a special way. And so in the 2.5 years since she's passed, and I've been able to process this, and I'm still processing, I wonder, why couldn't I have flipped that switch prior to her having a stroke? Often as humans, we need something catastrophic, something major to happen before we step out in a way that is more in alignment with our divine nature. Sometimes we need to be knocked on the head. Sometimes we need the rug pulled out from underneath us. What if we access that without the catastrophe? Without having to lose our jobs or go bankrupt or have a divorce. What if we just loved a greater love? One that persevered and trusted and protected, that was always kind and patient. What if we stepped out in the world in our relationships with whoever we met that day with that kind of love? How would our world change? Not just our small little world that we live in every day, our immediate families and our co-workers, but the world, the planet, country to country, religion with religion, denomination with denomination, political party with political party. Like we talked about on February 4th, we are simply divine. And so this greater love that God is, we are. You don't have it, you are it. So the potential for never-ending patience, trust, love, kindness, perseverance always exists inside. Always. 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 Through every single trial, through every single frustration, through every single occurrence that hits us in the head. Just when we're smoking along, nice and happy, day's going well, and bam, something comes up. And we're blindsided. Greater love still exists and is possible. We just have to remind ourselves that that is who we are. And that it's right here at our fingertips, on the tip of our tongue, in every cell of our bodies, ready to be expressed to whomever is in front of us, or to ourselves. I think sometimes we forget that we need to be patient and kind and trusting with ourselves. I've created the kind of life where I don't have anybody in my life anymore who's toxic. I don't have anybody in my life now who tells me I can't do it, or who rips the sails off of my dreams. I don't. All of my friends are encouraging and loving and supportive. If there's somebody telling me I can't do it, it's usually me. If there's somebody giving me a hard time, it's usually me. If there's somebody doubting what I can be and how much that I am, doubting my divinity, it's usually me. So that greater love needs to be turned back to ourselves. When we look in the mirror, when we're kicking ourselves for forgetting something, not doing something, falling short of always trusting, always loving, always being patient. We just have to flip the switch again, remind ourselves of who we really are. So my mother and I got to have 6 weeks of peace and ease and laughter and joy. And the last thing she said out loud to me the night before her second stroke was, "I love you," and she waved at me as I left her hospital room. She was just happy and I was happy. And I said, "I love you too, Mom," and I had a big smile on my face. There was none of that restrained, "I love you" through gritting my teeth. You know, when you say it but you're not feeling it, because you feel there's an obligation to say it back. Gosh, there were so many days of that. You know, when you're trying hard to love and it hurts. Yeah. The human brand of love, where we've got all this stuff wrapped around love, where we're embracing our divinity and saying, "I am that greater love. I can be that greater love right now. I can express that greater love right now." And that's all it takes. There's nothing for you to learn, nothing for you to study, nothing for you to change. It's all right here at our core for us to pick up and unfold. Perhaps when I created those boundaries, when we were still in that struggle, perhaps that was a greater love for me, for myself. Perhaps I was protecting me. Perhaps I was trusting my gut. Because I've gone back and forth with that, really in a conflict about, was I not loving my mother then, or was I loving us both? I don't know that love's always pretty. It's indeed not always easy. But maybe, as we're expressing the greater love, that there is a challenge there. You know, while Jesus was on the cross, asking the Father to forgive those who put him on that very cross, he was expressing love. What must that have been like? What must that have been like? Certainly wasn't pretty. Maybe it was easy for him, I don't know. but it was love nonetheless. Forgiving in the middle of the trial. I have this favorite poem about love. In fact, I sang at a friend's wedding, and I read this at the end of the song. And I thought in the beginning that it was about love, relationship love. And then as I was preparing for this talk, the thought about this poem came back up. And I read it again, and I thought perhaps this is a message from the Creator to us. And when we're in our divinity and expressing it, perhaps it is a poem from us to the Creator. It's by E.E. Cummings. It says, I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope or the mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. How beautiful is that? How lofty is that? Right? Talk about a greater love. Higher than the soul can hope or the mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. A greater love. And if God is love, then we are too. Capable of the unconditional love that we are. My prayer is that you will embrace that greater love within yourself and express it toward your own heart of all the people that you love and all the people that it's hard to love, all the people that you don't know, that we are one with on this planet. Because I really do believe that that is the key to peace. For you, for me, and for the world. God bless you. I believe in love, it's all we've got. Love has no boundaries, costs nothing to touch. War makes money, cancer sleeps, curled up in my father, and that means something to me. Churches and dictators, politics and papers, everything crumbles sooner or later, but love, I believe in love. I believe in love, it's all we've got. Love has no boundaries, no borders to cross. Love is simple, hate breeds,
Those who think difference is the child of disease. Father and son make loving guns. Families together kill someone without love. I believe in love. Without love, I wouldn't believe in anything that lives and breathes. Without love, I'd have no anger. I wouldn't believe in my right to stand here. Without love, I wouldn't believe. I couldn't believe in you, and I wouldn't believe in me without love. I believe in love. I believe in love. I believe in love. Thank you.